Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days cutscene commentary. Now, obviously we actually finished watching all of the cutscenes in the last part, but I felt that there is a little bit of an extra thing in Days, in the sense of actually you have Roxas's diary that you can read through. So this is something that you get in the game as you go along, and as you're watching the cutscenes, these also unlock in the movie bit on the collection. So this also fills in a lot of those plot elements, but also it fills in a lot of Roxas's thoughts and all of that. And one of the things that I believe that you sort of have to do in order to unlock something or other, I think it's like the theme, I believe you do have to go through all of Roxas's diary and all of the secret reports. So one of the things that, I know it's not ideal necessarily, but I thought that it would be worth just, you know, skipping through these. If you want to actually read them, then obviously pause, read, continue, because I am going to be, you know, flicking through these at a sort of fair click. I'm not sure whether I'm even going to, you know, properly scroll through all of them. I mean, I might do, I might not do, maybe. Yeah, we'll just see how it all pans out. But I just thought that this would be something that you might want to see, and also because it is something that, you know, does need to happen in order to effectively complete 358 over 2 days on 1.5 plus 2.5 HD collection. And yeah, it is something that I do quite like, and I suppose it's also just this nice period of like the next 13 minutes can just be a chance to sort of, I suppose, further go into some of my thoughts on Days in a little bit. I mean, I suppose it can also be just going into a few of the other little bits and pieces. So I don't know whether I did bring it up, but Days did actually get a manga by Shiro Amano, and it was really good. I mean, the Amano Kingdom Hearts mangas were always pretty excellent. Like, they did a brilliant job of delving a bit more into the characters, in some instances making the comic relief a bit strong, but also putting their own spin on certain things. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Shiro Amano is the only person other than Tetsuya Nomura who is allowed to do official artwork of Sora, which, I mean, that's crazy, but I'm pretty sure that that is sort of the fact. And I mean, the thing that saddens me is that 358 over 2 days' manga is sort of ultimately the last Kingdom Hearts manga that Amano actually ended up working on. I mean, I don't know whether the KH2 manga and the 358 over 2 days manga sort of overlapped at all, or whether 2 ended way after Days or what have you. But yeah, that was sort of the end of the Kingdom Hearts manga in general, which is sad because I would have loved to have seen like Birth by Sleep, Coded, Dream Drop Distance, etc. in manga form. I think they would have been really enjoyable, but I suppose it's just one of those things that happens. You just don't necessarily continue on with stuff, and you want to broaden your horizons in separate things. I don't know whether Amano has really done any major work since that point, but hey, that's fine. obviously, yes, here is one of the other things that I want to show off, is that there are secret reports. Now, I believe that the secret reports are written by different people. Yes, so all of the secret reports are written by different members of the organisation. So Day 7 is written by Xemnas, Day 8 by Axel, Day 9 by Syax, Day 14 by Axel, Day 15 is Larxene, Day 22 is Axel, Day 23 is Vexen, Day 24 is Zexion, Day 25 is Lexius, Day 26 is Zexion, Day 27 is Marluxia, Day 28 is Axel, Day 50 is Xion, Day 51 Syax, 52 Axel, 71 Xigbar, 72 Axel, 73 Xion, 74 Axel, 75 Xion, 94 Syax, 95 Xion, 96 Axel, 97 Demix, 117 Xigbar, 118 Axel, 119 Zaldin, 149 Xion, 150 Syax, 151 Xion, 152 Axel, 153 Demix, 171 Syax, 172 Axel, 173 Luxord, 174 Syax, 193 Xion, 194 Axel. Too many numbers, too many names. 224 is Axel, 225 Xion, 255 Xemnas, 256 Xigbar, 257 Luxord, 276 Axel, 277 Syax, 296 Xigbar, 297 Axel, 298 Syax, 299 Axel, 300 Xion, 301 Axel, 321 Xion, 322 Xemnas, 352 Xion, 353 Axel, 354 Xion, 355 Xigbar, 356 Syax, 357 Axel, and 358 Golds, which is Xemnas. So yeah, that was that was a long list. But it is actually quite interesting because it really does show off some of the behind the scenes, I suppose, stuff between the characters and different perspectives, because you do spend the entire game looking at things from Roxas's perspective, and so it's nice to also get a bit of Xion in there, a bit of Axel, and a bit of the other members of the organisation, because it just works out, and it just increases the depth, I suppose, of the things that are going on here. It makes them more fleshed out. I mean, it's one of the things that I do always quite enjoy looking at is, like, diaries and all those sorts of things in video games. I mean, it's also, I believe, partially important because you've got to think of the poor writers who had to sit here and write all of this, considering the fact that a lot of people may never read any of it. It's the same thing with, like, all of the concept art things that I go over, because quite often those are the bits of the games that people don't look at or don't show off. And when someone's put so much work into a project, you sort of want to do right by them in saying to people, look, this is something that is here, this is something that is actually quite good and interesting, and you might gain more from experiencing it. And that's why I sort of do what I do with these sorts of extra videos. But also there, right there, in that particular report, is a very important thing, is it explains how Shion's name came to be. Like, she is no I, which you could see to be in part no identity, also number one. There is also, I believe, no, that's not going to, oh no, that's what it is. So, I, in mathematical notations, is an imaginary number. So, also you can see it as being that she is an imaginary being. That's why she is number imaginary. I'm not quite sure which version they were deciding to go with, but it's nice to have all those different options in terms of what you can take away from that, because it could be number one, as in she was created before Repliku and only sort of brought out once they had fully tested out Repliku, and obviously there were some issues, but because Axel was the only one who made it back and didn't mention anything about Repliku developing his own sense of self, they just thought, well, we'll be okay to use this. There is also the idea of the imaginary number makes sense as well, because obviously she's an imaginary person, doesn't really exist, etc. It's all quite fascinating to think about, and I do like the ambiguity of that. And also there is the no identity idea as well. I mean, you could also say it's the no idea project, which sometimes does feel like that is what Kingdom Hearts is going for, because a lot of people will come out of these games and go, I have absolutely no idea what was going on there. It's way too complicated. Personally, while it is perhaps complicated, I wouldn't necessarily say that it is overly terrible to get to the bottom of what the whole plot of Kingdom Hearts is about. Because, I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's about Sora facing off against the forces of darkness and trying to bring light back to the world. That is, in essence, the plot of Kingdom Hearts. It's just when you start going into the details that you start having to explain quite a lot of stuff. And you also have to introduce a number of, I suppose, complex ideas of the connections between different people, the whole difference between Heartless, Nobodies, Unversed, Dream Eaters, etc. Also, yeah, who's connected to who, because it's a very sort of incestuous relationship between the characters of Kingdom Hearts. It's kind of crazy. And yeah, so it's that side of things that I think gives Kingdom Hearts a worse rep than it probably really has or should have, because, yeah, as I said, it is possible to narrow down the plot of Kingdom Hearts into one very, very specific short sentence, which is effectively what all good stories should have. Like, for a good story, you need to have a single sentence that can describe your plot. And it doesn't need to be especially detailed, but it needs to make it clear what is going on. If you need more words to explain that plot idea, you end up in a much more difficult situation, and that's when I would say stories become a lot more convoluted than they have any right to be. But obviously you're allowed that extra depth underneath. And yes, here we are. that is the final secret report. We have, delightfully had a look at all of them. You can also obviously go and have a look at all of the character entries. They are pretty dull. You can't look at any character models or any of that jazz, but you do have, those little bits of explanation as to the characters, though I have to say that I really, really despise that hideous blue as the background for all of those character portraits, because it's pretty grotesque in comparison to the rest of the book. Like, my god. But yes, as we come right on down to the end of this list of characters, that is basically everything in Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days in the HD collections. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will join me next time when we get started on the cutscene commentary of Recoded. Also, yeah, you can look at when each of the reports and stuff comes in here. Anyway, see you next time.